Hello and welcome to another spring episode of Beat the Experts alongside Rob Longo. This week, I'm Andrew Chiappazzi.
We're a little bit past the halfway point in section baseball and softball play, and there's still not really any clarity, so AJ and I will try to break that down for you.
Yeah, a couple of big games this week to try and provide a little bit of clarity, which we're all seeking right now as we get closer and closer to the playoffs. As you mentioned, though, still about half of the regular season left to go for a lot of these teams. And you know, one section that's hoping to get a little bit clearer is Section 3 in Class 4A in softball. That's kind of a mess right now with Central Valley, Ambridge, Beaver, and Blackhawk. They've kind of separated themselves from the pack, so it looks like those are going to be the 4 playoff teams. But where they're going to finish is anybody's guess right now. Ambridge is in first place, but Central Valley might have the biggest say over how this is going to finish because they have a big week ahead of them. They play at Ambridge on Tuesday and then at Beaver on Thursday. And you know what Central Valley looked like the team to beat in this section. Beaver lost a lot of talented players to graduation last year. Central Valley looked poised to step into that vacancy, but it's Ambridge right now that's in front of them. And the Warriors are going to have to figure out, can they handle Brooklyn Cotulla and the Bridgers on Tuesday? And can they figure out a way to beat Beaver, a team that beat Ambridge, or beat Central Valley earlier this year? Some big questions for Central Valley this week as they face 2 very good teams.
Well, it's actually 3 teams when you take a look at the schedule too, because Central Valley plays a non-section game Monday against Southside, and all 3 of those games are on the road. Southside, by the way, is undefeated too. So not that that's a major issue, but it's something of note. But Central Valley has some really good talent in the pitching circle in Jordan Ewing. It's going to be interesting to see how she's utilized this week. I would assume, at Ambridge and at Beaver she will pitch. I'm not quite sure if she'll pitch Monday afternoon against Southside because that game doesn't really mean a whole lot. But again, Section 3 in Class 4A is just jumbled all over the place. Beaver, Blackhawk, Hopewell, and Newcastle all fighting for that 3rd spot as well. Central Valley can fall into that mix too with a loss at Ambridge, but can make things really interesting with a win Tuesday at Ambridge at the top of that section because both of those teams would have 2 section losses.
Meanwhile, one of the fun stories so far in the Times coverage area has been the resurgence of the Quigley baseball program. First-year coach Kip Reichel has done a great job getting the Spartans back into contention, and it looks like the Quigley will make the playoffs for the first time since 1985. Still some games left to be played, but certainly Quigley is in great position right now, and they get a chance to whet their appetite for playoff baseball this week because of their schedule. They will play Rochester today and then at Western Beaver on Wednesday. Rochester, of course, is 6-0 in that section, leading the way. Quigley right behind them with 2 losses. Western Beaver right behind Quigley. So this is a chance to play teams that are likely bound for the playoffs, including the section leader in Rochester. A chance to really see just how far this Quigley team has progressed, and a chance to maybe get a little bit of that playoff atmosphere going for when the playoffs do happen and Quigley does make it for the first time since 1985.
Well, of course, Quigley isn't the only feel-good story that we've had this season, AJ. We had the Alcoa baseball team winning its first game in nearly a decade as well. But the Spartans are one of those teams that really helped out with that 6 classification, the expansion to 6 classes this season. But, that's not everything, of course. Kip has done a really good job, honing this team in, doing a really good job of getting his system in there. His players have really bought into it as well. He's been such a fixture in his community for, countless years at the, recreational baseball level. Now he takes it to the varsity level as well. He hasn't really missed a beat. And Quigley's done a really good job of getting runners on base. Anytime you can get runners on base, you're going to give yourself a chance to win the game. Nick Romano went 3 for 3 the other day against Swickley Academy. Jonathan Jansma reached base 4 times in the same game. He had drew 2 walks, reached base on an error, had a single as well. So anytime you're getting people on base, you're giving yourself a chance to win the game because you're putting pressure on that opposing pitcher.
Absolutely right, and you got to score runs. Pitching's great, but you got to score runs even at the high school level. Finally, while it looks like we can hand Blackhawk baseball the Section 2 Class 4A crown already, the race behind the Cougars right now in that section is absolutely fascinating. 7 teams, basically everyone but Blackhawk, which is leading the section, are within 2 games of each other for 3 playoff spots. Going to be great to see how this shakes out, and one team that's going to have a big hand in it this week is Hopewell, because they play 3 section games this week against teams that are right next to them in the standings. Hopewell is 4-3 in section play. They are tied for 2nd place with South Fayette. They play the Lions today, and then on Wednesday they play at Quaker Valley, and Thursday at Beaver. Quake Valley and Beaver just a game behind Hopewell in the standings. It's going to be outstanding baseball for Mike Shaleski. If I am him this week, I may not get a lot of sleep, But I'm going to be very interested in seeing how my team handles such a stacked schedule against teams that have a lot to play for.
It's basically a playoff schedule a couple weeks early when you really take a look at it. But Hopewell isn't the only young team in that section as well. Beaver's pretty young. But the Vikings are a really interesting case. Lost to South Fayette, out South Fayette 4-3 earlier this year. Then lost to Blackhawk 3-0, got shut out a week later. But Hopewell has been in so many close games. You know, sometimes that's better than the experience and that senior leadership that you normally look for. You know, I'd rather be playing in, you know, closer games personally. Hopewell's played 13 games this season. In 8 of them, those games have been decided by 3 runs or fewer. So that's just something to look out as we, you know, most of that chunk in a regular season has been tight games, and you're going to have a lot of that, hopefully, if you're Hopewell, especially this week.
Absolutely right. That does it for this week of Beat the Experts. You can keep track of all of these games on timesonline.com.
Be sure to check out timesonline.com noon Thursday for the latest edition of Game On the Record.
So for Rob Longo, I'm Andrew Chiappazzi. That does it for now. We'll see you soon.